Today I want to take a look at my 3 favorite features of Veeam Backup for Microsoft Azure. So my first favorite feature, I guess, isn't as much of a feature as it is just the way the product is, right? So Veeam Backup for Microsoft Azure is really, really easy to use. Here I am logged into my Veeam Backup for Microsoft Azure, but before I get here I have to deploy it. So if you just go to your Azure portal and the marketplace and type in Veeam, you can see Veeam Backup for Microsoft Azure free. Now this version lets you protect up to 10 instances absolutely free. Of course, you're still going to have to pay for your Azure storage and all that good stuff, but here you go, have at it. Great for cloud native workloads, great for just testing it out, and all around great. So if I went through this wizard, I could deploy it right from the marketplace. But I've already done that. So as far as ease of use, once you want to get up and running, all you do is you come over to configuration, and Veeam Backup for Azure is going to walk you through everything you need to do. So you, of course, need to add your connection to Azure and add a repository, and then you're ready to create a policy. That's it. So let's take a look at how easy it is to actually create a policy. So let's say add. We're just going to call this test because we're testing stuff out. This is my Azure Active Directory. Regions, I do everything in US East, so we're going to add that region. Specify resources. So here's where it gets really cool and really simple and powerful. So protect the following resources. How do I want to protect my resources with this policy? So you can kind of add subscriptions, resource groups, tags, virtual machines, and then you'll see in the next screen you can exclude resources. So I could add a whole subscription right here and then exclude it later. But for now, we're just going to pick virtual machines, and I'm going to pick some Windows machine, and that's it. I'm not going to exclude anything. Now here are our snapshots, right? So we can say how many restore points we want to have. So I'm going to up this from 7 to 100 just because I'm going to show you something really crazy. Our schedule 8 p.m. every day, but you could do it on an hourly basis. So I'm going to say every 4 hours we're going to take a snapshot. And we, of course, have this familiar kind of scheduling screen from B&R if you're used to B&R. And we're going to leave that. And now we're going to go to backup settings. So we select our backup repository that I added. It's right here. And then again, we can get really granular with how often we want to do our backups. So let's go with periodically every 2 hours, and I'm doing this for a crazy reason, which I'm going to click next and show you. My absolute favorite feature probably is the cost estimation that's built into the product. So it's going to cost me $163.70 to back up this silly little VM that I don't actually do anything with. So from a cost administration perspective, probably not the right choice. So I could go back here to snapshot settings and say 7 restore points periodically every 12 hours, and then go to our backup settings and say daily 8 p.m. every day, or I could just say on certain days or weekends. So maybe you don't make any changes on the weekend, so you only want to set things up during the week. So let's do that on these days. We're just gonna not do anything on the weekend here. And then I'm going to click the cost estimation screen, and as you can see, it's adjusted for my restore points for my snapshots and backups, and it's much more cost effective now. So that's definitely one of my favorite features, this kind of costing model. So it helps you as an administrator decide, okay, my backups are costing a lot of money, or, wow, that's really cheap, maybe I can protect it better. And it's easy to tie back to your RPOs. And it's also easy to justify your budget for your Azure backups, right? So you can say, hey, I can give you whatever level of RPO, a 12-hour RPO for X amount. If you want to go to a 8-hour RPO, here's how much it's going to increase. And then kind of on a business level, you can help justify either, adding more restore points or more frequency and all that kind of stuff. So it's really powerful and really important as we begin to move even more critical workloads into the cloud. So next are policy settings. If the job fails, what do I want to do, right? And then, of course, notifications. You can enable notifications, notifying success, warning failure, so you know what's going on in your Azure environment. We're going to click next. We're going to click summary, and I'm not actually going to finish this and run this, but you can see exactly what I did, right? So here's my snapshot settings. Here's my backup settings, and all that good stuff. So that's how easy it is to do. And if we click on one that we already have, we have this tier 1 policy, and I'm going to click here, and here's kind of everything that's happened And if we kind of breeze here, again, this looks a lot like BNR and a lot like Enterprise Manager if you've used that. And it's really easy to see kind of what's happened with your job, how long it's taken, all that kind of stuff. So it's easy to have good visibility into your environment. And there's not a big learning curve if you're an existing Veeam customer, or even if you're a new customer getting started with Veeam for the very first time, right? Very easy to use. So here's our overview screen. Here's what you see when you log in. Everything is nice and green. Now, the next thing I want to show you, we're actually going to need to hop into our backup and replication console. So first two features I really love, easy to use and the cost optimization. But the third feature is integration with Veeam backup and replication. So if you are already a Veeam customer, you can come over here and you can add your external repository. Really simple to do. You just connect the repository that you've been using for Azure. And I can go to my VMs, so that tier 1 policy that I had running, it's Krypton Cloud VM, and I can do all of this stuff. I can run instant VM recovery and it'll stream stuff down for me. I can restore individual guest files. I can export a disk. I can restore to EC2, right? So let's say that I started off in Azure and then I decided, maybe I want to try this app in Amazon. Easily restore it to EC2. Restore to Azure, right? Maybe I just want to restore it right where it came from. That's all good. Or I can get rid of it if I decide I don't need it anymore because that application's been deprecated and all that good stuff. But here's the power, right? I know a lot of my customers were always kind of hesitant to go to the cloud 10 years ago, right? And we've come a long way in 10 years, but there is some still cloud hesitancy around. So when I can do stuff like an instant VM recovery and bring my stuff back on-prem if it didn't quite work in the cloud, I can kind of maybe test things a little more. I can have a little more leeway to say, okay, if my application doesn't perform, what's my backup plan, right? Everybody always needs to have a backup plan. Your backup plan, bring everything back on-prem or migrate to another cloud or whatever you need to do. So my three favorite features, once again, are how easy this is to use. Like, there's seriously only 2 steps to get started before you can do your first backup, and you deploy it right from the marketplace. My second favorite feature is that cost model I showed you that really makes it easy to prove that you should be backing stuff up in the cloud because you can be really economical about it, or to provide the business case for saying, hey, I have a tier 1 app, here's how I'm protecting it, here's what's going to cost us. And you won't be getting any surprise Azure bills at the end of the day, right? And then finally, external repository backup and replication, all the different ways I can restore my files and move them around between on-premises environments and clouds. So that's Veeam Backup for Microsoft Azure in a nutshell. Again, you can go right to the marketplace, deploy the free version for up to 10 instances, and start protecting your Microsoft Azure cloud native workloads today.